The question of the day is Ramaphosa a patriot or a puppet? And the answer is very simple: not a patriot. He's definitely a puppet, man. I mean, generally, politicians are puppets, generally. Even the ones we like, even the ones we do not like. They're generally puppets. Puppetry means then there's a hand up their buttocks or butthole, and that hand is doing all the gestures behind the scenes. And in the game of politics, that hand is usually the one who funds you. That hand is the one who gives you the money to exist, who gives you the power as a politician to even exist. So therefore, 100%, Ramaphosa is a puppet. Even worse, he's a puppet that's not patriotic. Some puppets are at least patriotic. I mean, we could go as far as saying Mandela was a puppet. Chris Hani himself, we could say he was a puppet. Even Robert Sobukwe. You know, these guys, man, were not, as we try to deify them and make them seem like these upright deities. All of them, they had someone in their corner. Chris Hani with the Soviet Union, with Russia, you know, when he came back from exile, he was driving nice Mercedes-Benz, you know, living a decent life, living a nice life. Where did he get the money? He was in the bush, he was in Uganda, he was in Angola, he was in Tanzania. So he got the money from somewhere. Robert Sobukwe as well, you know, with these Jewish funders of theirs. They were busy, you know, friends with these Jews. So there was someone in each and everyone's corner. And I don't think that's necessarily bad. I don't think that makes them sell out, but they definitely are puppets. Because if there's someone that's going to fund you, you have to, you know, fulfill their interests as well. And puppetry is just the order of the day. Even in corporate, if you're a manager, you're a puppet for the shareholders. Because you need to have focus. Your focus should be to maximize the wealth of the shareholder. That's the purpose of a manager, you know. Whether you're a financial manager, you're an operations manager, HR manager, every decision you take should have the outcome of increasing the shareholders' earnings or the value of the company, which is obviously what the shareholders are going to be. So everyone is a puppet in this kind of system that we live under, because there's always someone else who's in charge, someone else in the hierarchy. But then in the case of politicians, the difference is that they need to be voted in. You see, a manager does not necessarily need to be voted in. They have to show that they have, you know, a skill set that they can offer to the business. And in order now to prevent the agency problem where managers are more concerned about themselves than the business, companies usually give them a stake in the company, where the manager is also partially an owner, and therefore they counteract the agency problem. Now the manager is the owner, so all the decisions they take are in their interest as well. But then in politics, it's a different story, because you sell a certain idea to the public, and yet your funders, they want a different outcome, and therefore you have to abandon that idea now. We've heard politicians talking about the land. Oh, let's take the land, let's expropriate the land. But then you see that loud noise starts to subside now. It starts to subside, and then no longer talk about that, because somewhere behind the scenes, someone said enough, or else we withdraw. You see. So is Ramaphosa a puppet or a patriot? Ramaphosa is a puppet. He definitely is a puppet. Back in the 90s, in the 80s, when Ramaphosa was purportedly a mine workers or metal workers hero, he was a unionist. You know, he was there fighting, you know, for the workers' rights and all that. But today he was the same guy who presided over the processes that led to the killing of workers. The same person who was said to fight for workers, who came to the scene of popularity as a hero for the workers, he's the same guy who killed the workers effectively. There's an email that was leaked. He authorized the actions of the police. An email to the commissioner or minister that these people are criminals, therefore treat them as such. And the police killed 14. The 14 of Marikana. He's the same guy who presided over that whole process. And he hasn't been accountable yet. He hasn't been held accountable. He's the same guy who was found wanting when money was discovered on his sofa and mattress in the Palapala farm. Not only that, but he went actually and paid the criminals to actually run away. My goodness, because he realized that the crime of theft weighs less than the crime of not declaring his money, not paying the taxes, holding so much foreign currency as a sitting president. He realized that. He was like, no, you guys, I'll pay you some cash. Keep quiet about this. As a president, Ramaphosa committed a crime as a president. And he's not the first. Obviously, we know these guys are criminals, these politicians. So is he a patriot or a puppet? I say he's a puppet. This is the guy who has now, moved towards the direction of undoing some of the work, although ineffectively, but some of the work that was done, attempted to be done with policies such as BEE. Because BEE is not just for black-skinned people. BEE is for everyone who's defined as black in the South African legal framework. That means black people, colored people, and Indians. And Chinese. Black people are black. Colored people are black in South Africa. Indians are black and Chinese are black. This nonsense of them acting as if they're not. When it's time for benefits, those people are black, legally speaking. They are black. Chinese people are black. Okay, I don't know if that still applies, but I know for a fact colored people are black people in this country. When a company is owned by colored people only, that's a 100% black-owned company. When it's owned by Indians, it's a 100% black-owned company. I've been to companies where there was not even one African person, according to the legal words of South Africa. Not even one person who looks like me, but it's 100% black-owned. I'm like, who owns this company? And I was there, as an intern. 100% black-owned, not even one black person. So these are black people. When we talk about BEE, people usually think of these black billionaires. There are so many colored billionaires. Indian billionaires who get contracts because of BEE. And sometimes it works to the favor of the white people because then they're not forced to actually have black people. They can just have a group of Indians. I've seen a lot of that actually, a lot. In the finance sector, I saw a lot of that in the finance sector. So when he scraped such laws, although they didn't really benefit your average black person, but it was a step in the right direction. When he starts to move towards the direction of scraping laws like that, instead of finding a way to adjust those laws, or at least replace them with laws that are more effective for the average person, when you completely move towards the direction of scraping such laws off completely, then people should really start asking questions whether are you a patriot or a puppet? And dare I say again, he's a puppet. This is a man who became a multimillionaire or billionaire, whatever he is, through the BEE itself. And yet, his closest allies are not black people, but rather, foreign interests, European interests, American interests, and, your elite white South Africans. Cyril Ramaphosa has displayed time and again through his money laundering business of, selling cows, Ankole cows, because it's just money laundering, man. You can't tell me that there's a cow for 5 million. I'm sorry, man. Unless then we are laundering money, just cleaning money, So there's a lot that we could, talk about with regards to this guy. But he showed us during the lockdown that he doesn't give a damn about the people of this country when he caused so much heartache, so much depression, so much anxiety, so much job loss, so much death in this country by, authorizing an illegal and unconstitutional 2-year-long lockdown on the citizens of this country, treating us like slaves and second-class citizens in our country. There were soldiers deployed everywhere, stopping everyone from actually really living their lives. And yet, when you go to Enyanga in the Western Cape, when you go to Mdantsane in the Eastern Cape, where people are dying each and every single day, KwaMashu in KZN, eTembisa in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, Mamelodi, Soshanguve. When you go to those places where our people are dying every day, being killed, being terrorized, we don't see soldiers there because their purpose is not to serve the people, but rather the government. And Ramaphosa is the one who, presided over that lockdown. So for me, I'm sorry, man, there's absolutely no action that I've seen from Ramaphosa. Absolutely, maybe one, but nothing else other than that has really benefited South Africans. There's one thing that he did, the YES program. the youth employment service program, which he did for the youth. Okay, I think it did have some positive impact. I'm not going to lie. I did see some positive impact there where people are getting employed, but they are being paid minimally, 3,500, 3,700. And they're paid by the government for that matter. They're not really being paid by the companies where they do the programs. So the YES programs, basically you get into this program if you're unemployed, and then what happens is that the government pays you a stipend of 3,500, 3,700. And then you gain experience in this company. And in some companies, it's usually very useless experience. It's not really experience. What the hell is this now? It's not really experience that you can use in a competitive marketplace. But in some companies, okay, it's decent experience. You gain this experience for 12 months. You get paid by the government. And then in some cases, people do end up getting actual jobs. So that's one good thing that Ramaphosa did with the YES program. I don't know what the numbers are, but I know when done right, that program has the potential of working. But other than the YES program, there is very few evidence that suggests that Ramaphosa has done anything positive for this country. Very few. The rand is weaker. Electricity grid is ineffective. People in this country are jobless. Crime, is at an unprecedented rate. Criminals are reigning free on the streets. Rape is high. Like, there's nothing that's working under the sky. So why is he still there? Why is he still in the president's office? So the question, puppet or patriot? And I say again, puppet. Peace.